There's a wonderful story of 3 men who are in a boat in the middle of the ocean. And they're stranded on the boat, and they divide this boat into 3 separate parts. Imaginary, invisible lines, much like children in their rooms will divide the room in half and say, this is my half, that's your half. So these men have divided the boat into 3 imaginary sections, and one day 2 of the men look over and they notice that a leak has sprung in the 3rd section of the boat, and water is pouring into the boat. And they start to panic and they say, stop up the leak. We're going to sink, we're going to drown. And the 3rd man says, oh, don't worry. It's only leaking in my part of the boat. Now, obviously, imaginary and invisible lines, or no imaginary and invisible lines, a leak in any part of the boat is going to bring the whole thing down. And yet, in our lives, we do the same thing. We draw these imaginary and invisible lines between our professional life, our home life, our social life, our spiritual life, and we pay a lot of attention to where we're going professionally. Am I rising in the company? Am I succeeding? Am I moving in the direction I want to go? Am I going upward? Socially, same thing. Am I getting invited to the right parties? Are my friends continuing to call me? Are people treating me the way that they always have? Do people give me that level of respect? Same in our families. Are our children going in the direction they want them to go? Are they treating us with respect? Are things moving well in our families? And yet, spiritually, we seem sort of content to let that leak spring, thinking, well, it's only the spiritual part of the boat. And the problem is that if we don't pay attention to that spiritual part of the boat, then slowly but surely the entire thing will start to sink. And what ends up happening is, when we're unable to know what to do with our mind, with our thoughts, with our intentions, we become pawns in the hand of the society, the culture, the media, and we start to think what they want us to think, act the way they want us to act, buy what they want us to buy, do what they want us to do. And that's where our lives start going in the wrong direction. For example, we all know, all of us, deep inside, we all know that things like happiness, peace, joy, meaning in life, that these don't come from outside. We all intuitively know within ourselves that we're not actually any happier the day after we buy a new pair of shoes or a new handbag or a new mobile phone. And yet, because we live so much of our lives unconsciously, we don't pay attention to that. And then you look at things like advertising. For example, take an advertisement for something like soap. Now, what does soap do? It cleans us. So an honest advertisement for a brand of soap would say to us, this brand of soap cleans you better than that brand of soap. But they don't say that. Instead, what they do is they show a beautiful woman and she's singing in the shower in the morning while she's lathering up, and then her equally beautiful husband comes into the bathroom and he's also singing, and they go out of the bathroom and they come into the dining room, and miraculously their child is already up and dressed for school, and he's eaten his breakfast, and his lunchbox is packed, and his homework is done. We're not selling soap. We're selling happiness. We're selling peaceful families. As though somehow, if I just change my brand of soap, Suddenly I'm going to stop having to yank my kid out of bed in the morning. Suddenly my husband too is going to, sing as he walks into the bathroom, and suddenly everything's just going to be perfect and rosy and beautiful. And we laugh when we sit here and we dissect it like this. We laugh because it's ridiculous. When we bring just a little bit of awareness to it, we realize how ridiculous it is. We realize, of course, changing our brand of soap is not going to have any connection with whether my child does his homework, with how happy I am to get out of bed in the morning, with how well my husband and I get along. And yet, the billion-dollar advertising industry is counting on the fact that we won't be aware, that we won't be conscious, that we won't think about it. And in our drive for happiness and for peace and for meaning in our life, we continue to change our brand of soap and change our brand of dishwashing liquid and change our brands of jeans and mobile phones. They're happy, the advertising industry, and we continue to be miserable. Mahatma Gandhi said it beautifully. He said, "What's the point of running so fast when we're running in the wrong direction?" And that's what's happened in our lives. We've become so busy that we've put our minds on autopilot, and we've just let somebody else drive them. And so we're running really fast, but it's in the wrong direction. The top 10 medicines prescribed in this country are antidepressants, anti-anxiety medicine, sleeping pills, and Viagra. Literally. We've put people on the moon, people in outer space. We've accomplished what generations before never could have imagined possible. We've acquired more, obtained more, attained more than we ever imagined. But now we have to take pills to do what animals can do. Pills to go to sleep at night. Pills to convince ourselves it's worth getting out of bed in the morning. Pills to procreate. Pills to go to the bathroom. We're running in the wrong direction. If we want to bring ourselves back, luckily, it's really easy. Because what the spiritual connection does is it re-anchors us. It re-anchors us in what's truly important in life, in what the true foundation